Good, happy Thursday afternoon. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Thursday afternoon edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this Thursday afternoon, so let's get started right now. First up, large companies look to hire hundreds of employees in New Hampshire. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Can't believe that Daniel dude got me on my insurance.
Daniel, State Farm offers surprisingly great rates to everyone.
Sure you do. You want to meet the Queen?
I'm not dressed for that. When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
You've heard about all of the great incentives that are out there, and you're looking and thinking about getting back. It's real.
New Hampshire's Deputy Commissioner of Employment Security says it is a job seekers market right now. Lavers tells News 9 job postings are up 60% from before the pandemic, and New Hampshire is the third fastest state in the country to see unemployment claims dropping. That is down 92% from January. The current unemployment rate is 3% in New Hampshire, with just 3,700 people filing for benefits last week. That is a 16% drop from the prior week. Labor says at the height of the pandemic, 120,000 people filed for benefits. Among the businesses looking for employees, BAE Systems, planning to hire more than 800 engineers, primarily based at their new Manchester campus.
We need engineers of all skill levels, from entry level all the way through very seasoned engineers who do chief engineering type work and system level integration.
Also in the market for a large number of employees, Amazon. With facilities in New Hampshire, Amazon's director of recruiting says in the Boston metro area, they're looking to hire 4,500 people.
All across our operations network, we have a $15 an hour starting wage, which is, of course, double the federal minimum wage. We offer health benefits on day one. We offer 20 weeks paid parental leave.
And Amazon held an online career day today, and BAE Systems says it will be hosting an interview week starting October 20th at their Manchester campus. You can find links to job opportunities at both of those places on WMUR.com. In studio, Jessica Rand, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Additional safety protocols in place at UNH after spike in COVID-19 cases. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
2.5 weeks into the fall semester, and history is repeating itself at UNH in Durham.
We knew from last year that we would expect there to be additional cases after Labor Day, and that's exactly what we found.
What was a handful of COVID cases a day jumping to 30 or 40 a day last week. As of September 14th, 150 active cases on campus, 144 students in isolation, 21 in quarantine.
They started to come back down a little bit now, so we're in that period where we're not really sure what's going to happen.
With 89% of students vaccinated, officials find that the unvaccinated are much more likely to test positive, most with no symptoms. Despite the jump in cases, the overall positivity rate here is still much lower than in the county or the state.
The positivity rate is 1%, so it's very manageable.
They have made changes. COVID testing will now continue through the fall to identify cases quickly and break the chain of spread. There's now a no visitors policy at dorms, with additional restrictions at Stoke Hall, which had a lot of cases. And masks are now required, not just in class, but anywhere indoors.
Every day we're making decisions, trying to figure out, do we tighten things up more, do we loosen things up? I feel pretty good about where we are now.
So does the town.
There are residents who are concerned. A number have expressed that concern to us here at the town. Those are typically older residents, and they would very much like for Durham to reinstate a mask mandate, but for inside downtown businesses. But at this time, we just don't believe the justification is there.
Homecoming is still on, though class reunions have been postponed. In Durham, Jennifer Crompton, WMUR News 9.
We're taking home shop.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Executive Council Republicans vote to reject family planning funds for abortion providers. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
The Republican majority on the Executive Council voted Wednesday against family planning funds for 3 abortion providers in New Hampshire, citing a new state law that requires physical and financial separation of abortion and family planning services at facilities that receive taxpayer dollars.
You can't bring a patient into a Planned Parenthood clinic on Monday for an abortion and on Tuesday for family planning services, even though you might pay you pay part of the electric bill on Monday from abortion funds and part of the electric bill on Tuesday from family planning money.
The council did sign off on family planning funds for organizations that do not provide abortions. The lone vote in favor of all the contracts, Democrat Cindy Warmington, says this targeted defunding will come at the cost of women's health.
This will affect their birth outcomes in our state. That is just atrocious that these counselors voted these contracts down.
Leaders from the abortion providers that saw their contracts rejected, Planned Parenthood, the Lovering Center on the Seacoast, and the Equality Health Center in Concord, called today's vote devastating.
We have been defunded at times in the past, in 2011 and in 2015, and the result of that was higher patient wait times, cuts in services.
Partisan politics is playing a huge role in healthcare here in New Hampshire.
Opponents of abortion want the state to stay on top of these providers through newly strengthened audit provisions.
We as the pro-lifers who don't want our money to be mixed in with abortion, we need to stand vigilant.
In Nashua, Adam Sexton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Sununu says he's prepared to join legal fight against federal vaccine mandates. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
Another warning coming from Governor Chris Sununu and state health officials tonight. Unless more people get vaccinated against COVID-19, there's no way to mitigate an expected fall surge that could be the worst of the pandemic so far.
Our vaccine numbers remain too low, and low vaccination is contributing to continued spread of COVID-19 in our communities.
In its recent trip to Kentucky, the public health team learned that low vaccination rates in rural areas generated cases that created spikes in urban areas. So now, here in New Hampshire, the state is refocusing its efforts in the places where the vaccination rate is under 50%.
So what you're going to see is mobile clinics and vaccine vans that are going out, working with town hall officials, local fire and EMS, and trying to raise the vaccination rates.
While that work continues, Governor Sununu says he's preparing to sue the Biden administration to stop its proposed vaccine mandate on businesses.
The problem I really have with this is you have a unilateral, one-size-fits-all mandate out of one branch of government, and that's just, for the most part, almost always the wrong approach.
As for those whose patience is wearing thin or might be experiencing growing anxiety about the direction of the pandemic, the governor said today, quote, "Everybody's got to chill."
I'm going to give the message to the people of the state that I got last week when I was sitting in a hospital bed. Everyone needs to take a deep breath. We got a long way to go.
In Nashua, Adam Sexton, WMUR News 9.
Veterans show up for America.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. $25 COVID-19 clusters identified in New Hampshire schools. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
USAA is made for the safe pilots, like Matt, who can come to a stop with barely a bomb.
Well, during the governor's briefing, the Department of Health and Human Services provided some insight into what we're seeing right now in our schools. Commissioner Lori Shibinette says over the last 2 weeks in K through 12 schools, there have been 25 COVID-19 clusters. All but 2 are still active. DHHS says there have been 146 total infections. Of that number, 92% are children, 8% are staff. Right now, some districts do require masks in their schools, while Governor Sununu says the state could see its worst COVID-19 surge yet this coming fall. He does not believe we are at a point where statewide mask mandates are needed for schools.
I need a whole state of emergency to start issuing mask mandates and restrictions and all that, and we're just not there. If school districts want to, about 2/3 of the schools in the state already have mask requirements for students. All the rest of them could do it if they wanted to, but again, they're looking at their local rate of transmission. They're talking to their parents.
And the governor says right now any decision on COVID-19 requirements in schools should be made at the local level. Reporting in Nashua, I'm Tim Callery, WMUR News.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Daughter of woman missing since 1978 hopes new search will provide answers. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
After 43 years, investigators and family members say science is about to solve the mystery of Alberta Lehman's disappearance. They returned to the Connecticut River in Lancaster, where the Gorham mother's car was discovered last month in 14 feet of water, upside down and partially buried on the bottom. Her daughter Nancy has stood on the shore during these difficult days.
I have driven past her for these 43 years and never knew.
New sonar equipment led investigators to the car and some human remains. Now they're conducting a more extensive search and recovery, hoping to positively identify Alberta through her daughter's DNA.
Once they have enough bone to test and put it with mine, then we'll know if it's my mom.
Investigators brought in a specialized workboat they say has never been used in New Hampshire before to pump out and analyze the contents of the car, which divers could only feel by hand before.
It allows us a larger platform on top of the water, on top of the scene, which allows forensic anthropologists and archaeologists to evaluate the contents of what's found within the vehicle.
They say they have the same goal as the family, closure.
Hopefully it's her and we can finally put her to rest with my dad.
And investigators say they do not suspect foul play, but they still have been determined to solve this case for more than 4 decades. Live in the studio tonight, Jean Mackin, WMUR News.
And Tone.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this afternoon edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your afternoon. Thank you for watching this afternoon edition, and I'll see you back here tomorrow with more news coverage. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Goodbye.